All right, we'll go ahead and get started here before so catch up eventually. So kind of starting this out with scenario based here. So it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You are dispatched to a trade school in a sense like a Hondros. This comes in as a report of multiple people doing. Okay, you show up on scene. You've got about 20 people that are kind of half in, half out of the building. Some laying down on the front walkway out front. You have symptoms anywhere from basic nausea, upset stomach, headache, to people complaining that their chest or their heart's about to jump out of their chest. Current temperature outside is 97 degrees. It's August 13th, 2004. Okay, with that being said, to kind of give you an idea of the lay of the land here. Yes, I know this is not a Westchester building. Humor me a little bit here. So now it's called Fortis College for anybody over the age of like 30, you'll remember Fred's Tech Center. But right here's your building. Here's where the exit is that comes out, and everybody's just kind of, this is a covered overhang, and everybody's just kind of laid out here. So let's walk through this a little bit. Your first unit on scene is actually going to be Medic 71. What do you do?
Air packs, person bag with a monitor to see if we have any CO. Start triaging the people in the front until we get an engine crew. If it looks bad, obviously the air packs on you, probably go in there and start dragging people out. Maybe have one person start doing vitals, the other person dragging people out.
Okay. Engine 71, you just showed up. You're right on the tail. What are you gonna do?
Have your monitors in. Look, see if we can find a source.
Okay.
There's a CO leak, there's another chemical leak.
I will give you the heads up that your forecast doesn't pick up a damn thing.
Do you see anything like they're mixing chemicals in the
You
lab?
don't see anything. You have a slight smell. Extremely slight.
So notify Westchester, bring in multiple victims and start the, I don't know if you start the disaster net, but.
This is gonna be your call. Actually, it's gonna be Dave's call. It's now Dave shows up.
Or at least it'll let, at least Westchester bring in multiple victims.
What are you gonna do, Dave?
All right, arriving on the scene, I'm gonna, if command has not been established, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna request a can report from probably Brian as the officer on 71s, and I need a number of patients that are down. I'm gonna start ordering additional resources. And what's that, how many down, how many victims?
At least 20 that we know of right
Good.
Can we give a Hanes size up? I got bodies everywhere, send me medics.
I'm gonna request a second EMS alarm. And we will open up disaster net. I'll probably get, and of course hazmat will be requested as well for
Okay.
monitoring.
now. So the reason why I bring this one up. So this one was the only true MCI I've ever been. Okay. This happened in Washington Township, like I said, at Rex Tech Center. What it ended up being was there was a construction crew that was renovating this north side of the building over here and spilled a 5-gallon bucket of paint thinner in the HVAC room, and it started pumping it through the whole building. Okay, this was long before really anybody in the area had a true established MCI plan. So we pull up on the engine and I see them, we staff 3 on the ambulance there. I see the paramedic grabbing some girl by the wrist and dragging her across the parking lot. Throw her in the back of the knee. So we have no report of anything that's going on right now. Other problem is, we didn't have hazmat at that time. So they put us in gear to go find the source of the problem. 3-man engine crew. We're in there for about an hour. Well, what happens after about 30 minutes when you're on air?
The alarm is going off.
Yeah, or you just run out. So what do you think they told us to do?
Take your mask off.
Just pull your regulator, breathe through your mask, you probably fine.
There's no filter to that.
Yeah, so the reason why we're talking about this is, quite frankly, that was a cluster. and have something like that happen around here. We don't want to have that, so we're gonna kind of go back over our MCI plan. Not much has changed since the last time we went over this, but we've got a lot of new people that have probably never seen it. And we got this big shindig happening here in about a month, and who knows what's gonna happen. But,
This has happened here.
oh yeah,
Our court is a prime example.
Yep.
DO, but it was the same issue.
exactly, and I just would like us to be prepared when we go into it.
Good boy.
So overall objectives, we're gonna talk about the MCI plan and all the different positions that go along with it, talk about what equipment we carry. Talk about disaster net / net control, and then what is now EM track. EM track is new, it's been a giant pain to get set up and dealt with, but we finally got it together last week. So the MCI plan itself was rewritten in November of 2021. We kind of wrote our internal policy to match what NFPA wants and what mirrors the Butler County, Warren County, Hamilton County, Mass County. The biggest thing is we didn't want to get in that position where we Westchesterized something so badly that if we went someplace else or somebody came to us, they wouldn't have any idea what we were doing. So we tried to keep it as even keeled as possible. So MCI, it's really going to depend on where you're at. Our definition of an MCI is going to be totally different than a Ross Township MCI. Okay. Pretty much it says that anything where the number of patients and the very level of severity of conditions exceeds your ability to mitigate it. Okay, that's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo. Realistically, for us, it's about 8 patients at once will constitute an MCI for us. Okay, give or take, depending on how many other runs are going on in the township, what's staffing like, things like that, but round about that 8 number is kind of the bar to kind of look at. So here's the problem. There's a boatload of MCI positions. Okay. And you gotta think about it. The first run of everything that goes on with this is going to be all of our people. So 90% of the transports are going to be made by other entities. Okay. It's not going to be Westchester units transport to the hospital. It's going to be whatever mutual aid medic unit draws the short straw. To kind of keep in mind, we're built out to 50 medic units deep. So we go all the way down to the river, we go as far north as Kettering that are on our alarm card. So just depending on how far down the list, that's how far we'll go. Biggest positions that we're going to look at, EMS branch director. Okay. That's the second worst position to have. Okay. Realistically, the incident commander on this, it's really not going to be a whole lot of help to you in the medical side of it. Because in this case, the one we did as a demonstration, realistically, that's a hazmat. Dave, if you show up, you're going to be down the hazmat rack floor. So that EMS branch director is going to have to go through and set up all these positions and make sure that we have people sorted to. So you have the EMS branch director, you got somebody in charge of the treatment group, somebody in charge of the triage group. The worst possible position going is the transport group supervisor. Okay. Now you see those ones that are below it, the medical communications coordinator, the patient tracking coordinator, and the landing zone coordinator. Yes, we would like to have those positions staffed with an individual. If that's not possible for whatever reason, it's all going to fall back to that transport group supervisor. Okay. Reason why I say that's the worst one to have, you're the one that's going to be dealing with net control. You're the one that's going to be telling the units where they're transported to. And you're the one that's in charge of taking care of where everybody goes and tracking it. So that way, when angry mom shows up 5 hours later and wants to know where little Timmy went, they're coming to you. So it's your responsibility to kind of keep everything in check. So the branch director is going to report directly back to incident commander or an operations section chief if once established. And your responsibility is to communicate with all the group supervisors and make sure that they have the resources that they need. If you need more people in treatment because you got flux with 30 people at once, then you're going to need providers. So you're going to send them over there. If you need more units to transport people out, you're going to have to call for them for staging. Treatment group, yes, Charlie.
If you're the, more than likely that's gonna be a lieutenant's position, but if by some chance a roughneck gets stuck in that position. Obviously you have to coordinate what medic units are on scene, who's next, and then where they go, but like How do you get the names of the patients before they leave?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
It's coming up a little bit later. So treatment group is exactly what it sounds like. You report back to the branch director, you're in charge of treatment. You are not a provider. Okay? This is where a lot of people struggle. Okay? Our job is 83% dealing with that ambulance. Okay? We're used to getting in and helping people. You are not a provider, you are not a practitioner, you are an administrator at this point in time. Where what ends up happening, people get sucked into that, I want to get my hands on and help. I see that guy's bleeding, let me grab a tourniquet. No. Direct somebody to do it, stand back and keep that, 10,000 foot view so you can see everything that's going on. Okay, so you're gonna work with the leaders of all those other sections, the minor, the delayed, and the immediate. Triage, exactly what it sounds like. You ever see the triage process, same deal, you're not getting involved with it. Look, I might have to invite Tim in, hold on. Invite him in,
Yeah, invite him in.
stand by one.
Jason's inviting me. She probably inviting him in right now. Yep.
Bear with me just a second here. All right, transport group supervisor. So kind of talk about this a little bit. You're going to call it right back to the EMS branch director. You're going to be in communication with medical control or disaster net or both. So have a radio, have a phone, have whatever it takes. You're going to be the one pulling in all the units from staging. You're going to determine of how they're going, if they're going by ground, if they're going by road, and then you're going to have to coordinate all the patient movements. Okay, so if you look at this, you've got at minimum for every one of these 4 people. Okay, if you have the supervisor and you have somebody over red, over green, over yellow. So that's 4 people right there for the transport, for the treatment, for the triage. That's 12 people. That's more than half our staffing right there. More than likely, you're going to need more than that in each one of those groups. So our first line assets are going to be gone. Patient tracking coordinator. Like I said, this one may be its own position and may fall under the transport group. Okay, so this is the one that's going to document everything of where they go. So you're going to use the serial number that's on the, or the barcode that's on the triage tag. You're going to input their name and what hospital they're going to. Okay, there's a couple different ways we can do this. Option 1 is the preferred method, and that's using the EM Track app, which we'll talk about here in a few. Option 2, we do have the disaster kits that have the paperwork boxes in them that we can track it on paper. It's not nearly as effective because it ends up causing duplicate work. And then we really don't have a way to transmit that information to the hospital, but it is an option. Landing zone coordinator, exactly what it sounds like. We have helicopters on our 2nd and 3rd EMS alarm. So you're gonna be in charge of landing them and getting them in place. Here's where our problem with helicopters are. We automatically default to air care because they're in our backyard. We drive past a little helipad all the time. We know they're around. Okay, stiff breeze or a little bit of fog, air care is probably not going to fly. So you might get care flight. You might get med flight. You might get air pack. They just roll down the list over there. So the thing to keep in mind is with air care, we expect them to come in and assist on scene because they're staffed with a doctor. Okay. None of the other area units are. Some are staffed with nurses, some of them are staffed with just paramedics. Yes, ma'am.
Medical director, is he on the 2nd or 3rd EMS alarm?
He is on the 2nd EMS alarm, but he also has active 911. So I talked to him about it, and pretty much if he's available, if he's coming from home, he's coming from Hyde Park. If he's at the hospital, he does have the MD9 vehicle, so he will leave the hospital and come assist on scene. So one thing that kind of gets us into all of here is a mass casualty get dispatched as a million different things. Okay, you get dispatched for a 2-vehicle crash on the highway, and then it turns into a 6 vehicle, then a 10 vehicle, and you have all these other determining factors that go along with it. So whatever your best laid plan is, it's probably going to go out the door shortly after you get there. So your initial actions, figure out what the hell is going on. Okay, do we need any other type of PPE? Do we need RTF stuff? Do we need a police escort? What all do we need? Because the biggest difference between a screw up in a sense like we've been talking about MCI and then an RTF event, MCI we can walk in and more than likely go to work right now. If it's an RTF event, we're gonna be sitting there for who knows how long. Because it's a police event until proven otherwise. So if it takes them 25 minutes to say, yep, you guys can come in, unfortunately, that's what we're stuck. So figure out what you need, figure out where it is, give an idea of how many patients it is. And if you count 20, it's actually 30. Okay, always go 1.5 of what you got. Because every time it's, oh, he's hurt, well, I'm hurt too now. And the numbers always bump up. We had a little bit of like a pseudo MCI on the highway one night where a couple of Coleraine football buses crashed together. And we started out with 9 patients and it ballooned to like 25 instantly because, well, he's getting the lead. Well, I'm hurt too. I'm going to go to the hospital too. So always estimate high. We can always turn stuff away if we don't need it. Figure out if there's any complicating factors such as explosion, fire, hazardous materials, whatever it may be, because that's going to interfere with what we're doing. And that's going to take a whole nother slew of resources. And then finally, vehicle staging area and vehicle transport. And when I say transport corridor, I want to go back to this picture. Oops, sorry, too. So if you look at it, you've got access here off of East Alex Bell Road, and you've got access here off of Loop Road. Here's where we screwed up. So we put everything, all of our treatment area, right here. So we really ended up getting a giant roadblock here with apparatus coming in, and the apparatus has already staged. So we got all these people here, we just couldn't get them out. So we ended up having to drive the units through the grass here to try and get them off the scene because we had no other way. So if you can establish a clear, defined transport corridor before going into it, it's going to make your life a whole heck of a lot easier later. Like think like Lakota West. You got access off of Lakota West Drive, you got access off of Westchester Road. You can set up an easy transport corridor right there in that one that's parallel to Westchester Road. Have them enter there, load them up, and head out that west side entrance and be gone. So recourse allocation for our second EMS alarm, it's 7 engines, 2 ladders, 10 medics, and the INET team. Okay, and the medical director gets notified on. Okay, these guys here are going to be your patient movers. Okay, they may be taxed with something else, but they're going to be the ones that are going to be hauling people from place to place. These medic units are going to be our transport out. We go above that, we kick it up to the 3rd alarm. We get all the same stuff with the exception of we had the helicopter and we had 2 school buses. Okay. Mainly for that is, in a sense, a minor wounded area. We could put them somewhere inside out of the weather. So if it's 20 degrees outside, we can throw them in a bus and turn a heat and hold them there until we transport out. 4th doubles everything again. When it comes to the medic units, you get the MCI semi truck, you get another helicopter, and you get the Butler County IMT. Okay. I honestly wouldn't have any idea how long it would take the IMT to mobilize on this. Because a lot of the people that are working the scene already are probably also members of the IMT. So it's going to take a minute to get everything up and go. So disaster net. So the way that thing works is whoever needs to notify our dispatch to say, hey, we need to go ahead and have disaster net opened up. Contact Hamilton County Communications. Mainly because I honestly don't know if dispatch would remember that right away.
So we need to request it through Hamilton County.
Yeah, request it through Hamilton County. They're the ones that actually open. So once they go through and disaster net gets open, all the hospitals in our region are forced to update their status. And they will be able to tell us how many of each patient status that they can take. So they should all do it within about a 10-minute time period. And then from that point on, control determines where we go. Okay, we have no choice in the matter anymore. So we will flip down and we're going to operate on Zone E, Channel 13, which is the MCI channel for Region 6, which is us. So when they update their status board, this is what pops up. And they will go through and update every one of their hospitals in our area and start listing how many different beds that they have available. Okay. if you look at this list, it's not just this area. Okay, so it could be, medic 52, that's fantastic, you're gonna be transported to St. Elizabeth Covington. Net control wins, they are the determining factor in this. So don't expect it to be, oh, this medic is gonna run to Westchester, drop them off and come back, because they're gonna share the wealth with anybody in the Region 6 area. So it can be a minute. Yeah.
Does the transport coordinator look at that and say, okay, this patient is red, they need to go somewhere that has ICU available?
Transport coordinator will have nothing to do. This is what net control will be looking at.
So net control will determine who goes where?
Yep, because what you're gonna do when you call in and talk to them, this is what you're gonna tell them. You're gonna say, I've got a 35-year-old male, that's in a 2-word description of what their problem is. So 35-year-old male, punctured abdomen, red. That's all you're gonna get, 4 words in total, and they're gonna say, okay, transport them to Mercy Fairfield. Here's the next one, you get this one, yeah, I didn't say Christ. And you're just gonna roll through your list, and they are gonna determine based off what their bed availability is.
Okay.
So we are at their mercy at that point in time.
So you need a good big ass whiteboard.
Who is this we're talking to?
Chief Hartley, 72.
Ask what?
Is there any consideration given for family members, trying to keep them close? Or could they be in 2 different states transported?
They can be anywhere depending upon their severity level. So if one of them is a yellow and one of them is a red, for example, one of them might go to Westchester, the other one might go to Kettering Middletown.
Does that include minors or just all adults splitting?
And they'll split anything. So that's kind of where that patient tracking coordinator really comes into. Because you're gonna have that list of where they're going. So EM Track is what it's tracked with. So it's an app, it used to be provided by the Health Collaborative, then Ohio Department of Health came in and took it over, and really screwed everything up for like 3 months. So it allows us to enter in patient data into either anything that can hit the web. So there is an app available for every phone. That's going to be on the medic phones and all the staff officers' phones, and I'm going to have a link to the web page on all of the MDTs and on the EMS tough books. Okay. So the way that it works, I'll give you a picture here. So the right side over here is what the app looks like. Here's what it looks like on the website. So once we create an event, health net control will go in here and set us an event name, and it'll probably call it Westchester. You'll go through, you'll use your camera, scan the barcode that's on the triage tag, and it'll log that in there. You log what their current triage color is. You can scan their driver's license if you have that available to put in information. If not, they would like to just have first name, last name if possible. And then you hit and you put where they're going to. And then you hit submit and they dump away. Now they're on the log in the state. And anybody in the state of Ohio can view that. So when they go into HRIM, they're going to log into that same system and match our numbers up off our triage tags to what theirs has and update the status. So that way, if you do get the parent, they get split up from their kid, they can track it down based off of that system. The website does it the exact same way. It's just a lot clunkier to get around. It's not quite as user friendly, but it is an option available. So if you have that, it's fine. There could be 30 people logged in at once working on the same incident. It doesn't like lock you out of one versus the other. It's open access to however many people must use it at one time. So the equipment that here, we've got a pretty good amount of it. So in the back of Battalion 70, they've got the master kit. It's a giant, like 90-pound rolling duffel bag. It's got all the position specific stuff. So clipboards, paperwork, sector vests, and the triage area tarps all located in that bag. So that's the best one to grab. If for some reason we can't get that, we can go to Chief Hannaford's or My Vehicles. We both have the smaller cut down kit in it. All the medic units have all the triage paperwork in the file boxes that are up inside that lower door of the bulkhead, which should have all the paperwork and triage tags in it. And then all that apparatus should have a triage kit somewhere. Main reason why we're doing this is redundancy. Because if it's a giant footprint of an area that we're working with, you may not have easy access to any of the equipment. You know, if it's Lakota West and your state's at the football field and the battalion is over there at the far east entrance, you're not gonna run back and forth. So it gives you options to kind of work with. And if we get somebody that comes in from out of town, if Liberty shows up and they get assigned the transport officer, you can reach into that little file folder that's in the medic unit and hand them it, and they'll have everything that they need.
Do you know if they carry that same app on their phones?
That they should. Because it's through, like I said, that's the requirement through Ohio Department of Health. Now, do they? No, we're gonna talk about triage here in a minute.
So we might have to have them in one of our medic phones or whatever.
It's gonna be, yeah, you may have to hand them that or the G-Tac out of the back or whatever it may be. So a couple considerations here. It's gonna be a pretty dynamic event and it's gonna change constantly, okay? As one problem gets fixed, either another one stops or starts, and then you may allocate people or take people away. It can be something that's gonna be over in just a couple of minutes. Or if it's a big, huge event, this could be like a couple of day long thing. So be prepared. Geography, like I said, is our best friend or our worst enemy, as long as we use it to our advantage. And we don't set up that clear transport corridor and have somebody that's vocal about, hey, tell units this is where they come in at. You know they're going to come every which way except for the right way.
We have to coordinate with the cops to make sure family members will come in and block that. area as well.
Like I mentioned before, most of our transfers are going to be handled by mutual aid. It's not going to be already installed. And we marched it out yesterday, and out of the 21 that's on duty, plus staff officers, 26 positions were needed just to build out the troop. And that doesn't count, like I said, moving people from point A to point B. That doesn't count actually physically transporting. So a couple last things, variables outside our control are going to affect our operations. If local hospitals are overloaded just by whatever else, when they go through, they update their status, it's going to be low. If typically Westchester could take 5 reds, but they've got just a shit storm going up there, they might only be able to take 1. Sounds bad saying it this way, but deal with it. You don't have an option. You don't get to override that. Whoever is the first in apparatus, good luck. There ain't no other way to put this. Good luck. You are going to have 9,000 things thrown at you that you've got to figure out, because you've got to figure out, like in this case, is this a medical event or is this a hazmat event? How many people do I need to call in? What type of things go on? Am I in a safe position? You've got 1,000 things going through your mind. Okay, you're going to be overloaded. Okay, take a look at your equipment and make sure it's in good shape. We get this stuff out like once a year. Pretty much about this training every year. It's about the only time that we get it out. Look through it, make sure that you got the right stuff, and if you're missing anything, let me know. We found out yesterday that Medic 74 had the wrong triage tags on it. So I took some over there. I've got another 450 that are on board right now. So if you've got the wrong ones, I'll get you the right ones. But if I don't know, I can't fix it. One last thing when it comes to triage. So everybody else around uses pretty much either START or SALT triage. Overall, it's the same thing. It's used with triage tags or ribbons. The only biggest difference is with SALT is you take them to a casualty collection point first, you triage there, and then send them out to their appropriate, rather than in a sense doing a double triage. Liberty has decided to do something different. Liberty has went with positional triage. So they will not use ribbons, they will not use tags initially. So if it is a red patient, they will be laying down on their left-hand side. If it's a yellow patient, they'll be sitting up. If it's a black patient, they're going to be laid down with their arms crossed and their feet crossed. Now, I know that probably 3/4 of the people that are watching this right now have kids. I know that with hell, my kids at 3/4 of the people working, if I tell you to sit in a chair for 20 minutes, you're not gonna sit in a chair for 20 minutes. Okay? So now the expectation here is that somebody that's had a possible life-altering / life-ending event. We're asking them to sit up and not move.
Or lay them on their side that they have a GSW to.
Exactly, so just be prepared, when you go into Liberty, for some reason, that's what you're going to see. You're gonna see positional, you're not going to see the typical triage like everybody else.
Right.
So that's all I have. What questions does anybody out there have?
Hey, chief, what's a right triage tag versus a wrong triage tag look like?
Our triage tags, the right ones, should have a barcode on it. So some of the older ones, there's a number printed on it, but it doesn't have like a scannable UPC code on it. So if you do not have those with the barcodes, let me know and I'll get them to you. Anybody else have anything out there? All right, so that's it from over here. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions or if you guys need any type of equipment, please let me know and I will get it over to you. Beyond that, have a good day.